There's a stretch of Kansas farmland that most maps don't bother naming anymore. Just county roads, endless wheat fields, and a mailbox nobody's emptied in years. But drive past the old Hartley property, and the fields start to look wrong in a very particular way. Because scattered across nearly 300 acres of tall Kansas grass, there are 300 cars. Sedans with their tail fins slowly sinking into the soil. Pickup trucks swallowed almost whole by trees growing straight through their engine bays. Convertibles with soft tops shredded down to lace by 40 summers of unbroken prairie wind. 4 decades of American automotive history, sitting exactly where it was parked, in some cases since before most people reading this were even born. One man did this quietly over the course of an entire lifetime, and when he finally passed away, he left his family a question that none of them to this day have quite figured out how to answer. His name was Walter Hedstrom, and for very nearly 40 years, he ran the smallest and strangest business in his corner of the county. He collected cars other people wanted gone, not for parts, not for scrap value. Walter never sold so much as a single carburetor off any vehicle that came onto his land, not once in 4 decades, because he simply didn't believe in it. If a car arrived whole, it stayed whole, whatever eventually happened to it after that. His neighbors, for the most part, assumed he was simply hoarding junk, the way certain lonely old men sometimes do. His own children came to understand something different, and it took most of them well into their own middle age to understand it fully. Walter didn't think of himself as keeping junk at all. He thought of himself as keeping something considerably more fragile than scrap metal. He thought of himself as keeping stories, the kind that get thrown away the moment nobody's left to tell them. He was, by nearly every account from people who actually knew him well, an intensely private man who preferred the quiet company of parked cars to almost any human conversation. He charged nothing for this service ever in 40 years. It cost him considerably more in land taxes than it ever earned him in return. And by his own admission to a local newspaper reporter back in 2003, he never once regretted a single dollar of it. Take, for example, the turquoise sedan, half swallowed by tall grass near the old eastern fence line. In the summer of 1958, that particular sedan carried the Ostrander family on the very first real vacation any of them had ever taken together. Not overseas, but to an airport 200 miles away. 4 kids crammed shoulder to shoulder in the back seat, arguing the entire drive. Their father white-knuckled on a stretch of highway he'd genuinely never driven before in his life. It was, by every account still told at Ostrander family gatherings, the single best week of that family's collective childhood. The sedan came to Walter's land roughly 2 decades later in 1979, when its transmission finally gave out for good on a Sunday drive to church, and nobody in that family had quite enough heart left to send the car that gave them that one perfect week to a scrapyard crusher instead. Or consider the deep green pickup truck resting nearby, its wooden bed slats almost entirely surrendered to rot and rust by now. For a full 30 years, that particular truck worked the Hendricks family's apple orchard 2 counties over, hauling wooden crates of fruit every single autumn from 1951 all the way through 1981, when its engine finally seized for good on an unremarkable Tuesday morning. It didn't come to Walter's land because anyone in that family particularly loved it. It came because nobody could quite bring themselves to send a truck that had worked that hard, for that many autumns, straight to a crusher without at least trying to find it a gentler ending. And then there's the powder blue convertible, its once white soft top now shredded to little more than fabric lace by roughly 4 decades of unbroken Kansas wind. In June of 1963, that particular convertible carried a young bride and groom away from a small country chapel, a marriage that would last in total just under 4 years, followed by a divorce that nobody left in either family particularly enjoyed discussing at holiday gatherings afterward. Neither the bride nor the groom, by the time it was over, wanted the car back. It sat quietly in Walter's tall grass since 1968, holding inside it a single wedding day that both people who actually lived through it would very much rather simply forget. Walter Hedstrom passed away quietly in the spring of 2019, leaving behind exactly 300 cars and notably no written instructions whatsoever for any of them. His 3 surviving children inherited a decision that none of them had ever remotely expected to face. Sell the entire collection off piece by piece to whichever scrapyard offers the highest price per ton. Auction each individual car separately to serious collectors who by now have started calling the property with real regularity, or simply do nothing at all and let the Kansas grass keep quietly doing what it's already been doing for decades, completely undisturbed. There isn't a clean, satisfying ending to offer here, and honestly, we'd be doing this story a disservice if we pretended otherwise. No single engine roaring triumphantly back to life, no dramatic restoration montage, just 300 individual stories, sitting patiently in a Kansas field, waiting for 3 siblings to eventually decide together what any of it is actually worth keeping. Rustin Legacy tells the human stories hiding behind forgotten machines, the ones left in barns and garages, and yes, occasionally in fields exactly like this one. If you want to find out what the Hedstrom family eventually decides to do with all 300 of these cars, make sure you're subscribed because this particular story genuinely isn't finished yet. New episodes every single week.